Hello, I'm gonna do something a little different. I found this random video on YouTube and I wanted to watch it with y'all. It's Pedro Pascal. I've been seeing him like crazy, I don't know, I watched a thing or two with him and now it's like YouTube is suggesting all kinds of stuff with him. Plus he's just everywhere right now. He was on Game of Thrones, which is a huge show, and now he's on The Last of Us. Is that what it's called? I haven't seen that one, which is huge. I see it everywhere. I think he's been in some other popular stuff that I don't know about. He seems like a nice guy, kind of handsome. He's not really he was pretty hot on Game of Thrones, but he's not like my type. He wouldn't be at the top of my list, but yeah, he's a nice looking guy. I don't know a whole lot about him, but this is a video of him talking about his top 10 favorite movies, I guess. His top 10 movie picks. I don't know if that's of all time or just recent movies that have come out or something. I hope it's of all time, his favorite, his top 10 favorite movies. I love videos that are people telling their top 10, top 5, whatever, list type videos. You know, Watch Mojo has kind of that sort of thing where they're top 10 this, top 10 that, But I like when people say, this is my top 10 favorite movies, books, TV shows, whatever it is. I just love watching that. I don't know why. I love lists. I love hearing other people's opinions because it might be something new I never thought of or heard of myself. I'm like, oh, I want to check that out. That looks good. So it's suggestions, they're recommending things. So I like that because it might be something I never heard of or thought of or considered. I looked into this channel, Sky Cinema or Sky TV, and tried to see if they had done this with other celebrities. Is this a recurring thing that they do? They get a celebrity and they have them talk about their top 10 favorite movies or whatever. I don't think I found any other ones. They do other things, other types of questions or quizzes or games or whatever, but I didn't see any other celebrities just talking about their top 10 favorite movies, which saddened me greatly. Let's watch this and see what Pedro Pascal's top 10 movie picks are, and I'll tell you if I've seen them or not, or what my opinion is or whatever. Probably haven't seen them. I don't know. It'll probably be something obscure I don't even know about, or some very popular movie that I just haven't seen. I don't know. I love movies. I'm a movie buff, but I'm more into the B movies or C or D movies. Not the big famous ones, Oscar-winning movies. I don't know, the really acclaimed ones. I'm more into the obscure movies that nobody's heard about, or a lot of people think that they're trash, but I think they're awesome. I'm into certain types of movies. I've seen a lot of movies that a lot of people I know have never heard of. That kind of thing. I'm not as into the big popular movies as much, I like the diamonds in the rough. And I'm into movies that, are only certain demographics of people might like, but it's not good for a wide audience, maybe? I don't know.
Hi, I'm Pedro Pascal, and these are my top 10 movie choices for a great night in.
I forget about his accent. He's got a really Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal. Really rolled that R. Sounds cool.
It's amazing.
An American Werewolf in London. It took me time to appreciate this movie. When I first saw it, I thought it was so stupid and dumb, and I didn't like it at all. But it took time reading more about movies, learning more about movies and special effects, and I just didn't get the movie the first time I saw it. But now I definitely appreciate it. The scene that they're showing where he turns into a werewolf is amazing. I did not appreciate it when I first watched it, but it is, yeah, it's incredible. I would say the best werewolf changing scene in movie history. Definitely. It's gotta be, right? Yeah, I've definitely seen this movie. I've seen it several times. I've watched lots of different people react to it on YouTube and stuff like that. I think I even own the movie somewhere. I'm not for sure.
We got cable TV when I was very young. It scared me, and I thought it was hilarious. And you look at it now, and it really holds up. It has very, special effects that I think changed cinema, and has been, built on since then.
Very good practical effects. There's nothing that beats practical effects. Nowadays, Twilight, all these other werewolfy type movies, they just go into CGI to the max, and it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. It's cheesy. This is excellent. I also, when I first watched this movie, I didn't get the humor of it, and now I get the humor of it. I thought that they were trying to be serious, and there's a lot of humor in it. So I just thought it was cheesy. I don't know. I just didn't get it. It was one of those things that took time for me to better understand things in cinema to be able to get it. Still, this movie would not be at the top of my list, just because even though I respect it as a film, I think it's incredible. It's still, just as far as like me wanting to rewatch it over and over again, and loving the characters and loving the lines in the movie and certain scenes that made me emotional, things like that. It wouldn't be on my top 10 or maybe even my top 100 movies of all time. It wouldn't be, because it's just not the type of movie I'm super into. I don't know. If I was to pick like best special effects or best werewolf movie, best creature feature, something like that, it might be on my list, but not just in movies overall.
I didn't mean to call you meatloaf.
Blade Runner.
I remember going and seeing the director's cut in the movie theater. I had already seen the movie several times, but I saw it on the big screen for the first time, and I remember it was the first time that just a visual, which was the introduction of the movie, made me cry.
I have not seen Blade Runner, and I don't know what it's about at all. Like, I think it's like sci-fi-ish, maybe it's futuristic or something. I really have no idea what Blade Runner is about. It just doesn't look like it interests me. Like, it's never been the type of movie that I've wanted to watch. Like, it's not the type of genre that I like. I might be wrong and I might love it, but I have a feeling that I wouldn't get it or I wouldn't like it that much if I watched it. It's just not my type of movie.
Mr. Lebowski.
Lebowski?
I'm the dude.
The dude?
So that's what you call me.
Lebowski, The Big Lebowski. I have not seen that movie either, and it's on my list of movies I want to watch. That's Jeff Bridges, right? I have the movie over there in my shelf right there, because I want to react to it someday for the channel. But you know how movie reactions go. I am not very good at editing them, and it takes forever, and my internet's not that great, and my cameras aren't that great, and I don't have a lot of space in my computer, things like that. So doing movie reactions is hard, even though that's what I would like to do the most, probably, on my channel. It just takes a lot of work, a lot of time that I don't have, being a single mom, working a real job in real life, and having other many commitments and things, it's hard to devote so much time to editing a movie reaction. So I might be able to do a couple, 2, 3, a few within the year, sprinkled randomly. But I don't know. It's just one of those things that it's a special treat if it happens, because I'm not very good at it. But yeah, The Big Lebowski is one that I would like to react to someday on the channel. So I've been saving it. I don't have a clue if I'd like it or not. I think I had a boyfriend once that I was like, he had The Big Lebowski in his movie collection, and I was like, I've never seen that one. Is it good? I've heard good things. And he was like, I don't think you would like it. It's not for you. That kind of steered me away from it for a number of years, but he could have been totally wrong. I don't know. He said the same thing about Fight Club with Brad Pitt, and I've never seen that movie either. He said, I don't think you'd be into it. It's not really your thing. So I don't know.
You know, that or his dudeness or Duder or, you know, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Steve Buscemi. That's his name. Steve Buscemi. I really like him. I like him as an actor, and I like him as a person. He just seems like a really good guy. And also, I think I wanted to say Dan Aykroyd. That's not it. His name's not Dan, is it? John Goodman. I know him as Dan on Roseanne because I grew up with that show. But John Goodman, I think he's in that movie too. Okay, so now we got Candyman. Another movie on my list that I want to react to someday. I have not seen Candyman or any of the sequels or the new reboot of Candyman by Jordan Peele. I want to watch the first movie. I want to watch them in order. So I want to watch the first one, sequels, and then the remake. Order of being published or whatever. Or put out. I guess not published. That's books. And I have, I believe, yeah, there it is. I have Candyman and Candyman 2 in the movies right over there for me to react to someday. Just haven't done it yet. So he's into kind of like horror and sci-fi. And well, I don't know what The Big Lebowski is categorized as, but yeah.
Candyman, I saw in the movie theater and it scared the out of me. You can bleep that out if you need to.
I mean, we all make mistakes, Danielle. You and I have.
Cape Fear is so good. I love Cape Fear. It creeped me out. It's like edge of your seat, like scary, like not like a normal scary movie, but it's like thriller, edge of your seat, like, oh my gosh, this guy is crazy and you don't know what he's gonna do and you're scared. Like, I was scared for the teenage girl, just like, oh God, what is he gonna do to her? It's kind of like that movie From Dusk Till Dawn with Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney. That's kind of the same feeling I had watching that movie. It's like edge of your seat, like, oh my gosh, what's Quentin Tarantino? What's he gonna do next? Because he's psycho. Like, is he gonna kill that woman? Is he gonna kill that girl? What's he gonna do? And you're just like, what's his name? Robert De Niro? I don't know if he won any awards for his role in this movie, but he definitely should have, because it was iconic. I mean, no matter what you think of his personality or stuff, I don't know if I like him in real life, like the actor, but he is talented. His character in Cape Fear and his character in, it's just in my head and then it left me. Taxi Driver. Is that what it's called? Taxi Driver? Or Taxi. But those characters are just iconic. I feel like I've said iconic a bunch of times. Think of different synonyms. But yeah, we kind of went fast from Candyman to Cape Fear. I didn't have time to digest in my brain. This list is going by faster than I thought, but I guess 10 is a lot. Yeah, Cape Fear is fantastic. I just randomly watched it one day, like years and years ago. I saw it on TV or something, and I randomly was like, I've never seen this before. And then as I was watching it, I was getting sucked in, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this was the movie. They kind of did like a spoof of it on The Simpsons. And I grew up watching The Simpsons, and I knew that episode really well with like Sideshow Bob and Bart. Cape Fear kind of like, it was like a parody in a way. And I had no idea that was from that movie. So I was recognizing all the stuff when he's like in the prison lifting weights. Sideshow Bob also doing that in The Simpsons, and then they go on a boat and he's like trying to kill Bart and his family, and it's parodying Cape Fear.
At least we try to admit it, don't we?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Cape Fear is the best remake of anything that I've ever seen. And I remember seeing that in the theater when I was a kid, and seeing Juliette Lewis and just being like, I guess what some people felt when they saw Brando maybe in Streetcar, and the strangeness of her performance and the honesty of it, I remember just blowing my mind.
Yeah, her performance is incredible in that movie. She's in From Dusk Till Dawn too. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, weird coincidences, I guess. Yeah, her performance is great. She's so innocent in this, and like naive, and remake. I didn't know it was a remake. He said it was a remake. I thought this was the original one. I think, is this based off a book or something? Cape Fear? It kind of feels like a Stephen King book or something, but I'm not for sure where it came from.
See, but this is my pizzeria. American Italians on the wall only. Take it easy, huh? And you, hey, don't stop me today.
What? Do the Right Thing, if you think about it, there really hasn't been a movie that even comes close to addressing everything that movie was so bold in looking at the time. It's also something I saw in the movie theater with my father, and it changed my brain. It recalibrated the way that I looked at the world that I was living in.
You making trouble? Yeah, I'm a troublemaker. I'm making trouble.
You're a real ball breaker. Who's coming in here?
Do the Right Thing sounds familiar, but I really don't know. I don't know anything about this movie. I'm guessing it's gonna have to do with maybe like racial tension or something, racism or something. You got like these Italian guys and some black people in their restaurant, and the one guy's, I don't know. It's just a small clip, so I don't know what's going on. Seems like he's mouthing off, and the other guy's like,
Trouble, aren't you?
Die Hard.
Really?
Die Hard is awesome. I love Die Hard. To me, Die Hard is like the best. If I think of action movie, like Die Hard is the movie. The action movie. And I don't even like action movies that much, but Die Hard is just, it's so good. And I like Die Hard 3 also. I don't like Die Hard 2 at all. I just don't like it at all. I mean, it's okay if it's on in the background or something, but I'm not going to sit down and watch it. But Die Hard, the first one and the third one are really good. And the first one has Alan Rickman, who I'm a huge fan of. Die Hard probably would be in my top 100 for sure. I don't know if it would make it my top 10, because that's a real tight list, but it would be up there in my list of favorite movies.
Bad ass.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few laughs.
This came in the mail today.
I think that Milk is a
Milk.
beautiful movie. I think it's a brilliant performance by Sean Penn. I think it's brilliantly directed. It's an incredible ensemble. And also, I did gender studies in college, and I remember seeing the documentary. And when the movie came out, Gus Van Sant's movie, I remember thinking, there's no way for me to enjoy this because the documentary was so powerful and made such an impression on me, and it couldn't be compared. And so when it lived up to what I was already familiar with, I was just incredibly impressed by that. And of course the message.
I've heard of Milk. I know it had a lot of, I think, Oscar buzz and stuff. I don't know what it won or anything, but I know that they were talking about it like crazy, and I remember magazines and I don't know, just media. It was everywhere. I didn't know anything about it exactly, except that it was a guy, I'm assuming he's a real guy, I think he is, from history, that helped fight for LGBTQ rights and stuff like that. But I really, Harvey Milk is his name, right? I've read a little bit about him, but I don't know a whole lot. So, have not seen the movie. I need to watch it sometime.
Your democracy, brothers and sisters, you must come out. Come out to your parents. Come out to your friends, if indeed they are your friends.
Get a lot ready today?
Yes.
Hey, weather forecast said it's gonna snow tonight.
It kind of breaks your heart when you watch it again. Shelley Duvall is so phenomenal in the movie. And I also look at the performance of the child as one that like has never been achieved again. That level of like complete naked honesty of like what a kid is really, really like. I just remember when he loses his temper.
He's standing there with a knife. The Shining, epic movie. I know it's a great movie in cinema. There are some people that hate it, I've heard. I think even Stephen King was not a fan of it. I know it's based off a Stephen King book. I have not read the book. I have not seen the movie. It's another movie that is on my list I need to watch. I heard it was really long. I've heard it's really dark and hard to watch, but I can watch a lot of horror movies. They don't really get to me that much, but I heard it's really bad, like really brutal. I know that it's Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, is that her name? They're like married couple with a son. They stay in this hotel. He's a writer, and all this crazy stuff happens. And I know I know several famous scenes from the movie with the twin girls in the hallway and the little boy on the tricycle. Again, I probably know mostly what I know is from The Simpsons, because they did parodies of it, and other shows have done parodies of it. I think maybe Family Guy had Stewie. Is that his name, Stewie? Yeah, Stewie. I haven't watched that in so long, forgetting the characters' names, on a tricycle doing the same sort of thing. I know the famous scene where he takes the axe to the door and he like puts his head in and he's like, "Here's Johnny," or something. Or maybe that's the parody. I don't know if that's what he really says in the movie, which is like Johnny Carson, you know. He used to say, "Here's Johnny," or something. Or they used to announce him like that when he came in. "Here's Johnny." But yeah, definitely respect that pick because I've heard so many great things about it, and I know it's a big like achievement for cinema. I just have not seen it.
With her for the first time when he's typing and she's interrupting him, and the terror that she's sort of feeling as she recognizes her
I've heard
husband
of this
less and
scene too, where he freaks out on her.
Whenever you come in here and interrupt me, you're breaking my concentration.
For I am not Emily Kimberly.
It's one of the best comedies I think I've ever seen.
I'm Edward Kimberly, the reckless brother of my sister Anthony.
Holy Christ! It's a phobia!
Thank you, Helen. I just feel like I'm excited. And
Ooh, that went fast. Tootsie I've heard of, and I think I had heard that there was like a man dressed like a woman in the movie or something, but I really don't know anything about it. I've never seen it. I know it's a famous movie. I've heard the title before, but I don't know much about it. And now we got Bridesmaids. I love this movie. When I first saw it, I was like, do I like this? Because there's a lot of things in the movie that I do not like. If I was to change, I would change a few things. But the more I watch it, the more I kind of accept some of the things that I hated. I'm like, I don't know. It's memorable, that's for sure. But there's some parts of the movie that it just drive me insane. And there's some parts that are so, so good. Like, it's one of the funniest movies I've seen in a long time. Because there was a very dry spell for a while where they were not making very funny movies, in my opinion. I'm kind of a harsh critic on things like that. I don't laugh very easily. I'm kind of dry sense of humor. And I love British humor. British humor is like my bag. But American humor, it's hard to get me to appreciate and like it. But Bridesmaids had some really good scenes and parts, like this one that they're showing where she's on the plane and she's taking too much alcohol and pills and she's walking around all funny. It's almost like a Saturday Night Live skit or something, which she was on, I believe, but it is very, very funny. And the scenes where they have all the bridesmaids and the bride have diarrhea and they're running, trying to go in sinks and toilets and stuff, and it's horrible. And the scenes with the one that plays Megan, totally blanking on her name, but the one that plays Megan, I believe, when she's like pushing her and beating her up and she's like, oh, life's too hard, oh, you don't have any friends. Oh, I love her character. And the movie makes me feel better about myself when if I feel sad, depressed, something, things aren't going right in my life. I watch this movie because the main character has so much bad stuff happen to her. She has like losing jobs and her car's really bad and falling apart, and she has to live with her mom, and her friends' relationships are falling apart, and her love life is horrible, and just all this stuff is just happening. Bad roommates, lost her business, like all these things are just piling on her. And I'm like, well, my life doesn't seem so bad after all. It's actually pretty good. But the parts that annoy me are like when they're giving the speech and she and the other girl are trying to one-up each other and they're going back and forth. And it drags on for a long time, kind of like one of those Family Guy skits where they just drag it on, and they just, for a long, long time, and it irritates the crud out of me. That's kind of what it's so cringe that it hurts. But I hated that at first, but every time I watch a movie, I get more and more used to the cringe, and I kind of accept it and wallow in it. And like when she's throwing a fit outside of the bridal shower thing, whatever it is, and she like destroys the giant cookie and she's destroying all the decorations outside. I thought I didn't really like that, but I start to like these scenes more and more as I watch the movie over and over again. One of my fave comedies, I like that it's like a mostly female cast, because you don't have enough movies with a big female cast that are really funny like that. I feel like it did different things that I hadn't seen in a movie before. Different new comedy things with females that I hadn't seen in a while. Like normally females aren't like all gross like males are. Like the whole scene with the diarrhea and farting and burping and puking and like all that gross stuff. You don't see that very much with females. That's more like guys, bros hanging out, frat boys, whatever, that type of thing in a movie. So it was nice to see that, like gross sex scenes that are not super flattering. You don't see that so much with females. Usually it's the guy who's like with a nasty chick, like, oh, he's having sex with a big fat woman, or he's having sex with some gross old lady. Like, it's not so much the girl and kind of this unflattering situation. It's a really good movie. Again, it'd probably be in my top 100. I don't think it'd be in my top 10 movies of all time, but it would be on my list up there with some of my fave movies.
I feel relaxed and I'm ready to party.
Funniest person I've ever worked with is Kristen Wiig. One of my most favorite persons I've ever worked with, and also funniest.
It looks like somebody's really relaxing now.
Sweet. Wine. Indiana Jones.
Prepare to meet Kali in hell.
Al Pacino screaming, Attica, 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 in Dog Day Afternoon.
Attica! Attica!
Never seen that. I've never seen Dog Day Afternoon, but I have seen all of the Indiana Jones movies. When I was a kid, Temple of Doom was my favorite. And now, I don't know, it's hard to say. Because I do find the blonde girl, the heroine of the movie, to be extremely annoying. But, which is, I think is what a lot of people do. Why they don't like that movie is because they think she's extremely annoying, and her screams and stuff and her whining is just like grating. But I try to think of it this way: if I was in that situation and I had giant centipedes or scorpions or whatever on me, or a giant snake or whatever, like the things that happen to her, or you're sitting down to eat and they have monkey heads and they open their head and you eat the brains, and there's a giant snake and they cut it open and little baby snakes come out and all of that nasty stuff, and she was eating soup and eyeballs popped up, I would be acting like that too. I would be screaming and whining and crying. I would probably be more annoying than she is, and I would want to get the heck out of there. And then she was like lowered into a lava pit, all kinds of things she went through. So even though I prefer the brunette girl from the first movie, and then she's in the later, like, fourth movie, I think, I prefer her to the blonde German Nazi lady in the third movie too. I think maybe the second one, I like the third one too. The third one's really good with Sean Connery, but I think maybe the second one's still my favorite. And then the third one, and then the first one, and then the fourth one I didn't really like at all. The Crystal Skull, it was trash.
What?
Masterpiece. Teeth. Harry Dean Stanton.
Back to the old freezerinos. You like playing games, don't you?
I have a degree in psychology. It goes with the turf.
Okay, so we had Alien. I have not seen Alien. Like, I know a lot of iconic, like, I've heard about different scenes of the movie, like aliens busting out a chest. I think I've seen the special effects of that at one point. Sigourney Weaver. I'm not super into sci-fi type movies, alien type movies. It's like action. It's just not the type of movie that I'm into, so I haven't ever gone out of my way to watch it. I probably should watch it sometime because I know it's a big movie in cinema. But yeah, I've just never really been interested in watching it. Basic Instinct. I don't know if I've seen this or not. I've seen a lot of scenes from it. I know that. I think. Isn't this the one where she like opens her legs and it's like the woman, who is it? Michelle Pfeiffer? I don't know her name. She's like a killer, but she's being all seductive, trying to get away with it. I don't know.
3 words. Basic Instinct. White cocktail dress.
That's pretty cold, ain't it, lady?
I'm a writer. I use people for what I write.
Yeah, that's an iconic cinema scene. I think it's the most paused scene in movie history because they're trying to pause it at the right perfect moment so they can see her private parts. And I don't know if I guess you can. I don't know. You would think she would be wearing something, to cover that, like, for the movie, because they usually do wear something there. I know I've seen a lot of scenes from the movie. I don't know if I've actually sat down and watched the entire movie before or not. Then we got The Omen. Again, I know a lot about the movie. Like, I've seen a lot of scenes from the movie and stuff, but I've never sat down and watched the movie. I've never seen The Omen. I'm not super into like possessed evil kids movies either. I don't like to watch that. It's not enjoyable to me to watch this evil little kid that it's like you feel like you want to kill it, but you don't want to kill kids. You're like, ugh, like that's not enjoyable for me to watch. I mean, I've seen The Good Son, and that's a good movie. Creepy, but a good movie. My eye's itching. I know it's about an evil, like, demon child, but I haven't seen it.
Scary. Childhood. Rottweiler. Brilliant. Perfect.
Psycho. I have not seen that one either, and that's another one I want to react to on the channel. I think I have a copy of it back there. There's a bunch of Alfred Hitchcock movies that are iconic that I want to see, like The Birds, Rear Window, Psycho. I think I even had a poll at one point, which I asked, which movie would you like to see the most? I know this iconic shower scene. I've seen the movie Hitchcock with Anthony Hopkins playing him. So that movie shows kind of, I don't know how true to life it is, but some of the behind the scenes kind of, because in the movie, he's making this movie. So it shows how he was making the movie, his inspirations. Ed Gein, I never know how to say his name. Ed Gein, he was kind of his inspiration for this movie, I guess. And I know a lot about that guy because I've read a lot about him too. I'm weird. I like to read about serial killers and stuff like that. So I've read a lot about him. I've seen the behind the scenes type stuff. I know, like, I've seen the movie Scream or no, he's talking about Carrie, isn't he? He's like Pig's Blood or Chocolate Syrup. I don't know. I feel like they were talking about Psycho at some point in Scream. They used chocolate syrup, I believe, for the blood in Psycho. And I've also seen all of Bates Motel. I binge watched all of Bates Motel, so I've seen that aspect of it, which is supposed to be kind of a prequel to Psycho. It's showing Norman Bates when he was a kid. And I know about the, like, sort of twist, shocking ending or whatever of this movie, Psycho. The reveal, when they turn the body around in the chair or whatever. I have seen that scene. I've seen the shower scene. I know that they showed a toilet in the movie, and it was very controversial that they showed a toilet flushing, because that's something they had never really done before. So I know a lot about this movie, but I've never seen it. I've never sat down and watched it, which is sad.
Classic.
Hello, Henry.
80s.
Yeah.
Joe Pesci.
No, wait a minute.
Lorraine Bracco.
What do you do?
What?
What do you do?
I'm in construction.
Goodfellas. I'm not into those mafia, mobster type of movies, which I think is what it is about. Like the Godfather movie, Goodfellas, all those type of movies. They just bore me to tears, and I don't get it. And I think my dad's watched them, and they're in the background or something, but I just didn't really pay that much attention to it because it just didn't hold my interest. So I haven't ever sat down and watched Goodfellas. Yeah, sounds like I don't like movies, doesn't it? I like dramas, I like horror movies, I like thrillers, I like crime type movies. I like romance, love story type movies. I like kids movies, Disney movies. I like some musicals, but sometimes they're kind of annoying. I like some action, not a whole lot. I like a good story. I like indie movies. Yeah. But I'm not, there's certain types of movies I'm not super into. I'm not super into sci-fi. I'm not super into action movies like bang bang, shoot 'em up, driving fast cars, Fast and the Furious type movies. I like some fantasy, but there's some fantasy that I'm not super into, like Lord of the Rings. I love Harry Potter. Not really into Lord of the Rings or Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe. They were kind of boring to me. I feel like I have to defend my love for movies because I do love movies, but there's some kinds that I'm not into. Why is this always turned a weird way? My ear. That was fun. I don't know. I definitely respect his list. He had an excellent list of movies. Even if it's not really something I'm into, I know that they're all like really well thought of, well received movies and good picks. I hadn't seen a lot of them on the list. Maybe I'll do a top 10 list someday. I'm sure people would not agree with it very much. You'd be like, what? You have horrible taste. But yeah, it would be really hard for me to do a top 10 list. To just break it down to 10 movies out of all of the movies. There's so many movies. Oh my gosh, it's hard. I think I have done a top 10 list though, actually. I think I have one somewhere written down or on Pinterest or something. I like to make lists on Pinterest. Helps me chill out. My favorite this, my favorite that. Make a list, Please like, subscribe, leave comments down below, and have a nice day. Bye.